So many people these days trying to find ways around the law. And I've got several of them here I want to share with you. So let's get going. Well, the first one shouldn't be any surprise to you because it has to do with the Bidens, and especially Joe Biden's brother, because the FBI raided this business and it is linked to Joe Biden's brother James, who allegedly promised to exploit his sibling's position as vice president to bring in international investors. Yep, and this is from actually a Real Clear Investigations report. So, yep, here it is. That's what they went after. And they evidently collected a lot of evidence and are sifting through that right now. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You might want to know about that. I'll leave the links to all the articles down below in the description. You may have to click like a little triangle or the show more text to make that open up so you can see everything, but it's all there and hopefully it'll all be there. We'll see. And then I wanted to show you this because Neon Nettle had this article come out. Oh my goodness. I don't watch The View. I just can't stand it. But you got to watch this one, or at least these parts of it, because Stacey Abrams just out and out says that the Dems will jerry-rig the system and go around the Constitution to beat Trump. Yep, she really says it. And this is just absolutely insane. They have the transcript of it, so if you just want to read the transcript, that's fine too. But she basically, first of all, when they bring her out, they talk about her running for president. And it's like, really? Because, a lot of people want to see her on the vice president or the presidential ticket. It's probably a good thing this is coming out early in the morning so you don't have nightmares tonight about it. Because, that would be enough to give it to you. Oh, I can't even believe this woman. She still has not admitted that she lost. So anyway, then here's the clip. And this is the first clip. And she's talking about how the Electoral College is actually racist. And yeah, so they have it, some stuff down here. Again, the transcript of it. And I'm kind of going quick because this is the one I really want you to see. This one right here, if you watch, lasts for about 2 minutes and it's near the very end, somewhere along in here. If you listen to this, then she talks about with the Electoral College that, it needs to be changed. And she says something like, well, we may have to jerry-rig the system and go around the Constitution because, there's just not enough time to do it, to get it changed as a constitutional amendment, to get rid of the Electoral College. Now, here's a point that I want to ask because here's the deal. If the Democrats are so big on the popular vote, why in the world do they do these caucuses and have this silly super delegates sitting there in the back ready to be put in when they need them, and they can choose anything and it doesn't matter what the popular vote is? Why in the world don't they choose their nominee by popular vote? But they don't. But they want to impose that on all of us. So I'm sorry about my voice, guys. It's still, it may be this way throughout the spring. I sure hope not. But anyway, so the deal is, I don't get this. They're all against the Electoral College because of what happened with Hillary Clinton. I got news for them. I don't think either way is going to matter this time. I think he's going to have a slam dunk on both ways. And I think all of us need to get out there and vote even more so because we need to rub their face in it by showing them all of the people that they have been turning their backs on and insulting for I don't know how long. So that's just my thought. That's a good reason to encourage people to get out there and vote. It doesn't matter if they think he's going to win anyway without their vote. Don't think like that. We need to have everybody voting because we want to show them just how many of us there are, because they evidently don't see us as important people. And we need to make sure that they understand that we are. Our votes count just as much as theirs. But I can't believe she even said this, And hey, you got any German Americans, they're going to get mad at you for, that insulting term there, jerry-rigging. So, yeah, anyway. But then I wanted to show you this from Twitter. I thought this was amusing. Okay, Keith Ellison, who has had some battery issues in his past, where he was beating on his wife, who is now his ex-wife, I believe. Anyway, he says, I've never seen Bernie Sanders supporters being unusually mean or rude. Can someone send me an example of a Bernie bro being bad? Also, are we holding all candidates responsible for the behavior of some of their supporters? Waiting to hear. Well, guess what? He gets a reply all right, and this is like the mic drop moment of the night. Here it is. This is from Steve Scalise. He says, I can think of an example because it was a Bernie supporter that shot him. So, yeah. It was just, if you read the people down here, tweet of the year, I mean, best mic drop ever. These were great because, you've literally earned the scars, which allows you ever so simply to make your case. I like this one. Just shut down Twitter today. It's over after this epic tweet. But anyway, so that was, when I read that, it was like, oh man, that's a great response. So anyway, but someone else later on down in there posted this tweet from James O'Keefe, which is, if Bernie Sanders truly wants his supporters to knock off the violence, then why has he still not avowed the comments made by his own campaign staff? And these people are all still employed. You ought to watch this little video. It's a couple minutes long, and wow, oh my goodness. These are Bernie Sanders staff members that are still employed and working for Bernie. They are anarchists. They out and out say they're communists. They don't even care. It's crazy. Listen to this. And they talk about doing really violent things to Trump supporters. Yeah, you need to watch this. I'll put the links down below and you can see it there. Okay, this was an interesting one. This is just for fun. Because Dan Scavino, Trump had a rally tonight, and then it says here, President Trump returns to Las Vegas, Nevada after a busy day in Palm Springs, California, followed by Bakersfield, California, then Phoenix, Arizona for a massive Trump rally. Okay, and so this was when he was coming back. Now, there's no sound with it really, so I'm just going to play it. And of course, you've got the big motorcade. But watch what happens here as it goes through when we get to 17 seconds in. It's about ready. Here we go. Watch. 17 seconds. It does a little dance. So, yeah, we got the message. 17. There you go. We got it. And most of the people down here are pointing that out. 17. So, yeah, we caught it. Anyway, going on to this one. I'm going to give you the overview on this because I don't want to go through all the details. Crowdstrike has been going through some things. And Crowdstrike Holdings had some stock that was sold by Capital G, which is Alphabet, which is Google and YouTube, etc., etc. And also the co-founder steps down, which I thought was kind of interesting with the timing, everything that's going on right now, and that they are, some people are selling off some stock, and I wanted to give you this link so you can go through and look it up if you want to, but there's some definite connections here with CrowdStrike and especially with Capital G, which is formerly Google Capital. So, yeah, I thought that was a very interesting dig they had there. This one is the one that really concerns me, folks, because Twitter is testing new ways to fight misinformation, including a community-based points system. Okay, where they're going to have people evidently report posts that they deem harmfully misleading. Okay, now just imagine on this what it's going to be like. And so they add brightly colored labels directly beneath lies and misinformation posted by politicians and other public figures, according to a leaked demo of new features sent to NBC News. Now, I don't know about the demo. I haven't seen the actual demo itself, whatever they're talking about, this video. But here are some screenshots, and I'm not sure. One of the researchers had a post about from POTUS that had been censored, essentially. And so what they do, see, they put this, and you can add your voice. So this is just like voting. Do you know what's going to happen when they get all their little Twitter bots out there on Trump? If you've ever seen his tweets, just go into his feed and you'll see a bunch of little trolls. They go in there all the time. And it's the same people, because I put them on mute. And every time, it comes up, and I have a whole big bunch that are muted. So, yeah, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be popular vote on that. And that's going to be fun, especially since Twitter is majority left-leaning. And that was one reason why, the 17th letter of the alphabet needed us on Twitter so bad, because a lot of the misinformation was getting out there to younger people, because that's where they were going on Twitter. And so they needed more information getting out there from the media that was telling the truth instead of from the lying media. So that was a major reason why the 17th letter of the alphabet had his digital soldiers start working on this. But anyway, I wanted to show this to you because I think this is very dangerous, what's going to happen here, because we know that they will skew it. It'll be definitely skewed against conservatives. So this is kind of a scary thing that you need to be aware of. Okay, and speaking of that kind of manipulation, I think this is something that we need to be aware of too, and we're watching it happen. That Bloomberg's rising polls show power of billionaire narrative control. In other words, whoever has the money can pay enough money into the system, they can produce whatever narrative they want to have. And especially since you now have seen Bloomberg, if you watch the debate for the Democrats, he imploded. Oh, I tell you, Pocahontas gave him some real, attacks there. That was great. It was really good. She slapped him down well. And there were some inviting. I haven't watched the whole thing. I just watched the clips that people have been putting up. But, yeah, it was pretty intense, I guess. It'd almost be worth watching with that kind of stuff going on. But, yeah, I saw her really slap him down good. And because of that, you got to see that a lot of people, enough people, had him high enough in the polls so that he got on stage. Okay? Well, if the man doesn't do any more debates, is his number going to keep going up? Because he can pay for it, and he's putting out all these ads, and that's what people are seeing. And so this is something we really need to be aware of, that this kind of money can really manipulate people's perceptions of things. And that is, in a lot of ways, what's been happening, because George Soros has been able to put a lot of money into various races. And by doing so, he's been able to manipulate who gets what positions, and especially some of these local races that he's been dealing with. Like, he's been getting in a lot of district attorneys, and that's just not good. He's putting in people that are social justice warriors. They're going to be like that Kim Fox lady, in the Jussie Smollett thing. They're not going to be going for justice. They're going to be going for social justice, and this could be very dangerous. It's not going to be for the best for the public. And this kind of thing that we're watching happen is very dangerous, because it shows the power of money. It really does. And I think we need to point that out to people, because it shouldn't be allowed, that money could have that much pull on things. I just wanted to point this out to you. Being a Bible-believing Christian, I thought this tells you a lot about Michael Bloomberg. He gives a bunch of money, $50 million on the gun control initiative, and he believes that secured him a happy afterlife. Well, I've got news for him. Dear Michael, you're not going to ever earn your place in heaven. That's not how it works. Jesus Christ paid the price, and he's the only way to heaven. So if you're not going to go by him, you're never going to get there. So just going to tell you that. All right. And then talk about, again, people who want to avoid the law. This guy, and I know it says Greece, but that means like New York. Okay. Arrested and charged with threatening to, take those guys out. So this guy did threaten them, and I'm going to show you what the threats were in just a minute. But his name was Salvatore Lippa II, 57, of Greece, New York. And he was arrested and charged. So the thing is, there is a bigger penalty for threatening those kinds of people. Anybody who works in Congress, they do have special immunity in some ways. So be very careful. I just want to, tell you in the comments, I want justice done, and I'm sure you want justice done. So let's make sure that our comments, though, do not ever come off as threats, because we really want to see justice. We don't want to be threatening people. Okay? If we do that, we're vigilantes, and that's not what our entire movement stands for. So I just wanted to point that out, and here's the article about it, and the threats that he made, I'll put on the screen. I'm not going to actually read them, but let's see down here. Okay, here's the one he did for Schiff. Again, I'm not going to say them, because I think that kind of violence is way out of line to make those kinds of threats. And so, that's what he said to Schiff. And then down here for Schumer, to Schumer, he said this. And so, again, not things that I condone in any way. Please do not threaten people. Please do not talk about you inflicting pain on any of them. That's not what we're for. We want justice. We want the justice system to work through. And we know that sometimes the penalty for certain crimes can be very severe, and we may be wanting that, but let's make sure that we paint it in a way that we want justice. Okay? Just, it's kind of like a little extra thing there for you. I just needed to say that, because once in a while, I think sometimes we forget. But for the most part, you guys do a really great job with your comments, and, I really love reading them. This came out on February 20th. This is by Jonathan Turley. And you have to understand, Jonathan Turley may be a Democrat, which he is, but he actually does believe in the law. And so if the Democrats are not following what the law says, then yes, he's going to stand up and say something. And so he has written this column here for The Hill, and he put it on his website. And it has to do with, basically defending Bill Barr, who is a friend of his. And so I think it's really interesting that he talks about this, and he says that these people that are critics have simply ignored reports that various Justice Department officials believed, as did many of us, that the original recommended sentence for Roger Stone was wildly out of proportion with the underlying crimes. They have also ignored indications that Trump's controversial statements on the case came after a decision was made to modify the recommendation. Some have even gone as far to declare that Barr, who served his country for decades, is un-American. Such hair-triggered attacks have become common in Washington, but there must remain some modicum of decency and restraint, so when so few of the facts are fully established. And so he does give a good thing about it. And down here he says, because about the more than 1,100 former Justice Department officials calling on Barr to resign. Notably, in expressing alarm over the threat to professional ethics, these lawyers did not feel it was necessary to learn critical details about the underlying controversy before warning of, quote, future abuses and, quote, unlawful orders. They show the same lack of interest in a fair process they accuse Barr of committing. I thought that was really good that he had to say there, and the timing of it again. And he definitely does not agree with how Trump does things. And so he calls him a witless Trump troll. So he does not always treat the president very nicely. But he does come to the conclusion that, this stuff was going on. And if you wanted somebody who was really a political attorney general, Eric Holder, he says, one of the most political attorney generals in modern history. And Anyway, if you go down here, his very end, I think this makes pretty much a summary of it. I have my own presumptions and bias regarding Barr based on decades of friendship, yet neither affinity nor hostility should shape our analysis of this episode. So here's a novel suggestion. Before we impeach, disbar, and incarcerate Barr, maybe we should hear from him. So, yeah, I mean, at least it's common sense, a lot of what he has to say. Okay, and then there's this where post-impeachment Donald Trump moves loyalists into top jobs, pushes out others. This is just so biased, the way that USA Today put this. Loyalists out, he moves loyalists in. Well, this is kind of really silly. Look at this. It says President Trump, who has long questioned the allegiance of career employees in his midst, is tightening his grip on the White House by installing some of his most loyal allies in top jobs and calling others deemed untrustworthy. So in other words, how dare Trump want to have trustworthy people around him? I mean, really, seriously, that's what it's saying, essentially. But they just, why would any president want to have untrustworthy people around him? You're just not gonna. So this article just kind of is irritating to read, but I can't believe that they're talking about this. And it's like, well, because that's what you do. If you're a president, you get people around you that you can trust. That's how the White House is supposed to work. So, anyway, I'll leave the article if you really want to read the whole rest of it. But anyway, then I just want to remind you that I mentioned Kash Patel before. Well, guess what? Yes, he's going to be helping out the new guy, the Richard Grennell, who is the acting director of national intelligence. Now, the reason that they needed to put in another acting director of national intelligence was because the guy who is currently the acting director can only be in there for 260 days. I don't know, something like that. But he's been in there for quite a while. And I think his time is going to be up in March. And so they've got to get somebody in there. Well, for now, they'll put this guy in. Then they'll have another 260 days or so to be able to get somebody in. Because I believe they have to go through the nomination process in the Senate. Because I think the only one that didn't have to do that was the NSA. Anyway, so what I'm hearing is that Doug Collins is probably up for the DNI position. I think that would be very good. At least we know we can trust that guy, right? So anyway, I'll leave this article down below. It is from Politico, though, and I want to remind you, if you haven't heard, that Politico is one of them that's been targeted as being kind of a mouthpiece of the Chinese government over here. Yeah, isn't that interesting? In fact, I think they're requiring now any media outlet to reveal if they have any China ties. Because China's been, kind of getting a hold of some of our media over here. And I did have the article on that, and I can't, I don't know where it is right now. I was going to put it in, and I totally forgot to bring it up. So sorry about that. If I happen to find it, I'll put that link in down below too. So that's what I've got for you on this one. I hope my voice will get better, but you know what? It tends to come and go. And so we'll just see what happens. And it used to be when I was teaching school that I would lose my voice completely in the spring and the fall. So, yeah, I'm doing more talking these days with my videos. So I don't know if I'm going to lose it. I don't know if it's going to come back or what, but it's not the best. So anyway, that's all right. It just seems like 2020 has been like one health issue after another. I hope that's not indicative of what the rest of the year is going to be like. Oh, I could do without those kind of challenges. But anyway, so that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.